be in a situation where I had to choose between my own daughter-in-law and the safety of my beloved granddaughter. But there I was, dialing 911, my hands shaking so violently I almost dropped the phone. Was I wrong for what I did? Tell me if you would have done the same thing, because honestly, I still second-guess myself every single day, even knowing what I know now. It all started innocently enough, as most nightmares tend to. My son David married Sarah about 5 years ago. From the beginning, I had my reservations about her. She was beautiful, yes, with striking blonde hair and a charming smile that could light up a room. But there was always something off. A certain coldness in her eyes, a calculating way she spoke, even when she was being perfectly polite. David, bless his heart, was completely smitten. He'd always been a bit of a romantic, the type to fall head over heels and see only the good in people. I tried to voice my concerns gently, asking if he truly knew her well, but he brushed them off as me being an overprotective mother. I backed off, wanting to support his happiness, and tried my best to welcome Sarah into our family. 2 years after their wedding, my beautiful granddaughter, Lily, was born. She was a ray of sunshine, a bundle of joy that completely captivated my heart. I'd always dreamed of being a grandmother, and Lily exceeded every expectation. I spent as much time with her as I could, often babysitting when David and Sarah had work commitments or wanted a rare date night. David worked a demanding job as a software engineer, often requiring long hours. Sarah, on the other hand, worked part-time as a graphic designer, mostly from home, which meant she was typically the primary caregiver during the day. As Lily grew, I noticed subtle things. She was a very quiet child, which I initially attributed to her gentle nature. But as she got older, around 3 or 4, she became even more withdrawn when Sarah was around. She'd cling to me tighter or hide behind David's legs. When Sarah would speak to her, even in a seemingly normal tone, Lily would sometimes flinch. I brought it up to David once, asking if he'd noticed anything. He said Lily was just shy, and that Sarah was a good mother, maybe just a bit stricter than I was. I didn't push it, not wanting to cause friction, but a seed of doubt had been planted. Then came the bruises. Small ones at first, on her arms or legs, that Sarah would always have a ready explanation for. Oh, she tripped on the rug, or she bumped into the coffee table again. Kids get bumps and bruises, I told myself, trying to be rational. But they seem to be happening with increasing frequency, and some of them looked different. Not like typical playground scrapes, but more like finger marks or odd shapes. I kept my observations to myself, though my stomach would clench every time I saw a new mark on Lily's delicate skin. The incident that truly set things in motion happened last summer. Lily was 5 years old, and David and Sarah were going on a week-long cruise, leaving Lily with me. I was thrilled to have her for such an extended period. We had a wonderful routine: morning cartoons, trips to the park, baking cookies, reading stories. Lily truly blossomed with me, her laughter echoing through my house, her shyness almost completely disappearing. It was during one of our evening story times that everything changed. We were snuggled on the couch, a big picture book open on my lap. Lily was tracing the illustrations with her finger, completely relaxed. I remember she yawned a tiny, adorable sound and stretched her arm out. That's when I saw it, a dark, purplish bruise on the inside of her upper arm, clearly shaped like a handprint. It was fresh, distinct, and there was no way it was from falling or bumping into furniture. My heart hammered in my chest. I gently touched it, and Lily winced, pulling her arm back slightly. "Lily, bug," I said, trying to keep my voice calm, though I felt anything but. "What happened here, sweetie?" She looked at me with wide, innocent eyes, then quickly glanced towards the hallway as if expecting someone to walk in. Her little face crumpled, and she started to tear up. Mommy got mad," she whispered, her voice barely audible. My blood ran cold. "Mad about what, baby?" I spilled my juice," she whimpered, tears now rolling down her cheeks. "She said I was clumsy." She pushed me. And then she grabbed my arm really hard. The words hit me like a physical blow. My daughter-in-law, my son's wife, a mother to my grandchild, doing this to Lily. It felt impossible, yet Lily's fear, her tears, the unmistakable bruise, screamed otherwise. I hugged her tightly, trying to reassure her, my mind reeling. I didn't know what to do. My first instinct was to call David, but they were in the middle of the ocean, unreachable. And even if they weren't, how could I tell him this? How could I accuse his wife of something so horrific without absolute proof? Lily's words, a child's words, might not be enough. I needed more. I needed a plan. For the rest of that week, I was hyper-aware. I observed Lily constantly, looking for any other signs, any other stories. I subtly asked her about her day-to-day life at home, about what she did when her mommy was there. She was hesitant at first, but slowly she started to open up. She told me about being sent to her room for hours if she made a mess, about her toys being taken away for minor infractions, about Sarah yelling at her for crying. It wasn't just physical, it was emotional and psychological abuse too. My heart ached for my little granddaughter living in fear in her own home. When David and Sarah returned, I tried to be normal, but inside I was a coiled spring. I watched Sarah's interactions with Lily like a hawk. The forced smiles, the way she'd sometimes grab Lily's hand too tightly, the subtle dismissive tone when Lily spoke. It was all there, clear as day to my now opened eyes. I couldn't unsee it. I debated telling David, but I knew he'd be devastated, maybe even angry at me for suggesting such a thing about his wife. I needed concrete evidence, something undeniable. So, that's the situation I was in, and I had to make a choice. Before I tell you what happened next, I want you to pause and comment below what you would have done in my shoes. Would you have confronted Sarah directly, gone straight to David, or tried to gather more proof like I did? Let me know, because it was one of the hardest decisions of my life. I knew I couldn't just sit back and do nothing. My granddaughter was in danger. I decided to try and record something, anything, that would prove what Sarah was doing. I bought a small voice recorder, the kind that looks like a USB drive, and told David that I wanted to teach Lily how to make podcasts, thinking it might be a fun, harmless activity. He thought it was a cute idea. The next time I babysat, I showed Lily how to use it, explaining that it was her special story recorder, and she could tell it anything she wanted. I showed her where the record button was and the stop button. My hope was that she would unknowingly capture something during her day, something that would shed light on Sarah's behavior. It was a long shot, a desperate measure, but I felt I had no other options. A few weeks later, my chance came. David called saying Sarah had a last-minute work trip for a few days and he had to work late. Could I pick Lily up from school and keep her overnight? My heart pounded with a mix of dread and anticipation. This was it. Before I dropped Lily off at her house the next morning for school, I made sure she had the recorder in her little backpack, explaining again that it was her special recorder for her stories. I told her I couldn't wait to hear what she recorded when I saw her again. The next few days were agonizing. I kept replaying Lily's confession in my head. The image of that handprint bruise burned into my memory. Finally, Friday arrived, and I picked Lily up from school. We went back to my house, and after a snack, I casually asked her about her story recorder. She excitedly pulled it out of her backpack. My hands trembled as I took it, trying to appear nonchalant. I connected it to my computer. My breath hitched in my throat as I saw a few audio files. I started playing the first one. It was mostly just Lily humming or talking to her dolls. I fast-forwarded through several, my hopes starting to dwindle. Then, I heard it. A faint clatter, followed by Sarah's voice, sharp and angry. "Lily, what have you done now? Look at this mess! You are so useless!" Lily's small, trembling voice replied, "I'm sorry, Mommy. It was an accident." Then a sickening thud, followed by a choked cry from Lily. "No! Don't touch that! You just broke it, you little brat!" Sarah screamed. "Go to your room, now, and don't come out until I tell you!" More sobs from Lily, then the sound of footsteps receding and a door slamming shut. The recording continued for a few more minutes, capturing the chilling silence of a child's room, punctuated only by faint, muffled sniffles. I sat there, frozen, the blood draining from my face. It was worse than I had imagined. The thud, the cry, the sheer venom in Sarah's voice. It wasn't just a push, it was an assault. My beautiful granddaughter, enduring this. The anger that surged through me was unlike anything I had ever felt. I wanted to scream, to smash something, to protect my little Lily with every fiber of my being. I immediately called David. He was still at work. "David," I said, my voice barely steady, "I need you to come over. Now, it's about Lily and it's urgent." He heard the alarm in my voice and rushed over. When he arrived, his face was etched with worry. I didn't mince words. I told him everything: the bruises, Lily's confession, my suspicions, and finally, the recording. He listened, his face growing paler and paler with each revelation. When I played the audio, his eyes welled up with tears. He buried his face in his hands, completely broken. "Mom," he choked out, I can't believe this." "Sarah, she wouldn't." "David," I said firmly, "you heard it yourself. Our daughter is being hurt, physically and emotionally. We have to protect her." He looked up, his eyes red-rimmed but now filled with a desperate resolve. "What do we do?" "We'll call the police," I stated, without a shred of doubt, "and we make sure she never gets near Lily again." It was the hardest call I've ever made. Explaining the situation, the recording, the past bruises. The officers were there within the hour. They listened patiently, took statements, and crucially, they listened to the audio recording. Their faces hardened as they heard Sarah's vicious words and Lily's cries. They explained the legal process, the need to involve Child Protective Services. They advised us to keep Lily with me, immediately. The next few days were a blur of interviews, more statements, and the terrifying prospect of what would happen next. Sarah was questioned by the police when she returned from her trip. She denied everything, of course, tried to twist the narrative, tried to portray me as an overbearing mother-in-law trying to break up her marriage. But the audio recording was undeniable. Coupled with Lily's consistent statements to the social workers and the physical evidence of past bruises documented by a doctor, Sarah was eventually charged with child abuse. The fallout was immense. David was utterly shattered. He filed for divorce immediately and got full custody of Lily. The legal battle was ugly and drawn out, as Sarah fought tooth and nail, but in the end, justice prevailed. Sarah was convicted, receiving a prison sentence for her actions. It was a horrifying ordeal, one that tore our family apart in the most unimaginable way. But through it all, David and I had one unwavering focus: Lily's safety and well-being. It's been over a year since all of this happened. Lily is thriving. She's in therapy, working through the trauma, but she's smiling, laughing, and truly enjoying being a child again. She lives with David, and I see her almost every day. Our bond is stronger than ever. David is still healing, grappling with the betrayal and the guilt of not seeing what was happening sooner. But he's an incredible father, dedicated to making sure Lily feels loved and secure. This experience taught me a profound lesson about trusting my instincts and about the fierce, protective love a grandmother has for her grandchild. It was painful, traumatic, and utterly devastating to discover the truth about Sarah, but I would do it again in a heartbeat to protect Lily. No child deserves to live in fear, especially not in their own home. So, that's my story. I had to call the police on my own daughter-in-law because my granddaughter revealed her secret. Like this video, if you were on my side, and if you agree that protecting a child's safety should always come first, no matter the cost, subscribe for more stories like this, and please, share your final thoughts on this whole mess in the comments section below. I'll see you all in the next story.